fantastical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL network.
Yes, that is right. Welcome, everybody, on in to the Saturday Night Network here for the Hot Take Show, covering the Molly Shannon and Jonas Brothers episode of Saturday Night Live from season 48. My name is John from the SNN, and I was so excited for tonight to have Molly Shannon return and host the show, and I am definitely excited to be with all of you to break it all down. So thanks for staying up late with us. We cannot wait to get your thoughts on tonight's episode, and we will hear from some great panelists, some superstar panelists tonight to break down all of the sketches. So first, let me bring in my man, Sammy Kay. Sammy, how you doing?
John, I'm doing well. You know, when I first started watching the show back in season 32, Molly Shannon hosted an episode, and now here we are in season 48, and Molly Shannon is hosting an episode, so I'm really excited to get to talk about it here tonight.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, no matter what you thought of this episode, I think we can all agree we were so happy that Molly was home tonight back at Saturday Night Live. So really just, I'm so, thankful to get that and get to talk about these sketches. And I'm very thankful that she is joining us tonight. It is Victoria Franso. Victoria, how are you doing?
I'm great. No, I'm feeling awesome. I was actually performing my own comedy earlier tonight, rushed home to watch someone who's inspired me to perform comedy. So I'm feeling great. Molly is an underrated queen of comedy. So I'm just excited that she's back and we can talk about her a little bit tonight.
Absolutely. And we could not do this episode without somebody who has seen every single episode that Molly Shannon has ever had on Saturday Night Live. It is the great Andrew Dick. Andrew, how are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah. I mean, Molly was a central focus of the cast that I grew up on. So I was super hyped when they said that she was host, and I was like, let's go. So yeah, leading up to the night, just so psyched for this.
For sure. Well, let's talk about that major headline that we are going to take out of this night, or hot take if you have one. So, Sammy, I'll start with you. How you feeling about tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I guess overall my hot take would be, this is one of those episodes that was more fun than funny. It was just like very fun to see, somebody like Molly Shannon, kind of slotted into this cast. This felt like a really ensemble episode where, everybody kind of got to, have their little place to shine. But, it wasn't kind of overtaken by Molly's presence or anything like that. But yeah.
Victoria, how did you feel about tonight? Do you have a hot take or headline?
I just said it, and and you're going to hear me say it a few more times throughout this show and really the rest of my life is Molly Shannon is so underrated. And I think tonight was just a great reminder of how amazing she is and how she not only herself is extremely talented, but kind of, tipping my hat to what Sammy said, she allows others to shine as well too. It's, she doesn't treat it like a pie. There's enough shine for everybody.
For sure. I mean, this is going to be part of what we're going to talk about when we kick off our roundtable on Monday, but I totally believe that Molly Shannon is underrated because of the amazing female performers on the show that would come after her as a cast member. So, in a way, there's a little bit of erasure about how important Molly Shannon was to the show, especially when she comes on, transitioning from season 20 to 21. But we'll have that conversation throughout the week. But for tonight, Andrew Dick, how are you feeling about the show you saw? Do you have a hot take or headline?
I do. And also, I don't know. I don't feel like Molly was, at least in the 90s, underrated. I mean, she was one of the few that got a movie.
I'm saying now.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So, oh boy. And the last time I was on, most of the season when I've been on, I've been able to be pretty positive about the episodes. Last time I was on, was talking about Woody Harrelson, got some YouTube comments. I hate that bearded guy that's always so negative. So really hoping that this one would be a good one for me to come on and talk about. And I was kind of let down by, I felt this one was pretty flat, to be honest. I was kind of surprised that there did not seem to be much inspiration going on in the building. And that is not to say that Molly was bad in any way. Like Victoria said, she really does she didn't hog the spotlight. Like she did kind of just feel like she slotted herself back in as a cast member. And so that was good. But it was more fun than funny, like Sammy said. Yeah. So
Yeah.
some
So
good
this
moments,
episode,
though.
for sure. I mean, this episode reminded me a lot of the times that Will Ferrell has come back to host, even like
Yes.
probably his more recent times where he's host, where Will, was the best part of the episode and the writing was okay, or and sometimes not great. And I think that tonight, I really felt like everything Molly Shannon like worked for me. Like her roles in sketches, when she was playing old characters, when sketches were like central about Molly, it really crushed tonight. And I felt like anything that wasn't central to Molly didn't work as well for me. So I was really coming out of this episode feeling like the host elevated a lot of the material tonight, which is not surprising given how talented Molly is. So I want to talk through each of these sketches as we get through the night. So let's kick things off with our cold open, and chat, of course, give us your thoughts as we're going through each sketch. So let's start with our Trump Easter cold open, and it's a little bit of it's like not exactly known what this is going to be when it starts, right? We get the Last Supper opening up with all of the cast, and they're sitting at the table. Mikey is Jesus, Molly is Judas, and then we see Andrew, Marcello, Bowen, and Michael Longfellow all there. But then Trump comes in from the side and says, "Sound familiar?" and compares Jesus to him, and we get all of these classic JAJ as Trump lines, ranting about how Christ was a nepo baby and Good Friday, why not make it great? So for me, this was really it was in a way less about Trump and more about the fact that I was utterly amazed at how frozen still everybody was in the background throughout the cold open, especially Mikey Day with the fingers.
Right.
So let's talk through our favorite parts from the cold open and what we thought about it overall. So Sammy, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this cold open. I loved the kind of twist they had where, I've obviously been following what's been going on in the news, but, they kind of open it up with the Last Supper sketch. I'm like, oh, this is like a really interesting choice to do as a cold open. I even put in my notes, like, I'm giving this, cold open points for not being political. But then obviously, James Austin Johnson comes in as Trump, and just the concept I really dug, the idea of him comparing himself to Jesus, because I feel like it's something that Trump has probably done in real life, and I just thought the joke writing was really strong. And then they kind of let JJ just cook. They didn't need any other elements to the sketch. Obviously, the whole time we're looking in the background and we see the Last Supper scene there, but besides that, and him kind of breaking the fourth wall here and there, which was really great, like just kind of messing with Mikey and almost making him break at certain points. He kind of was able to star in this, and I thought it was just like a really strong piece. As far as like, Donald Trump material on the show goes, I mean, JJ keeps killing it for me. So I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah. What did you think, Victoria, of the cold open tonight?
I really loved it. I think I know we're all sick of Trump, like as a person and like in these cold opens, but I think this was so nicely done in that we didn't have a lot of political figures that some of us might know who like needed to play a part. It was solely JAJ in his Trump moment, which it's kind of scary because if you don't watch it, if you're just listening to him speak, you think it's actually Trump. It's kind of frightening. If I were JJ, I would cause trouble. No, I'm kidding. But no, I think it was nicely done. They knew a lot about Christianity, which is cool. I had a fact check, and it was cool that they knew some things. I love that using Trump. What would you describe Trump language? Like Trumplican language to
Sure.
I would have come back in 2 days, good, like saying Good Friday, Great Friday, it like that stuff was really funny. It was a great play on words, and calling Jews Passovers, like that was, very, very Trump. So I think it was a great cold open. It was simple, but punchy.
For sure. I mean, I got to be consistent here. I got to say that everything that I didn't like about last week's cold open wasn't in this one. Like everything that I did like was. So for me, it was like, they really focused on the Trump, banter with himself, basically. And then you have this fun game going on in the background. So for me, this was a win. Andrew, how do you feel about it?
I think it could have needed a little bit more Afro Man, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a fan of these. Never been a fan of the Trump stuff. Just down the line. So this one was just kind of doomed, just for me. And I had seen actually, like, I don't know. I saw this one coming because I swear to God, I saw a couple people either in our Discord or on Twitter, elsewhere, somebody pitching this same idea. So when it started, I was like, oh my God, are they doing? And they did it. And I was like, okay. And then we went into the Trump stuff, and that's just all white noise to me. And then it kind of popped when we started playing with the people in the back, which, that was basically all I was looking at was Mikey holding his hand up. And that was all I was focused on, really. It was everybody frozen in the background. So at least they started to have fun with that, and trying to make Mikey break a little bit was kind of fun. And also just then the fourth wall breaking of, you need a big political character to say the live from New York. So all of those elements were fun, but the rest of it didn't really do it for me. And that's not a big surprise. So, it's just kind of a wash for me. Usually the cold opens, the show begins with the theme for me at this point.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's get to that. So the theme plays, and then out comes Molly Shannon hosting the show for the second time, obviously a cast member for 6 seasons on the show. And she makes her long-awaited return to the show, talking about the recent book that she wrote, Hello, Molly, a tribute also to her dad, and then sings the song Everything's Coming Up Roses. But Molly Carney interrupts that song, in addition to Keenan, Andrew, Chloe, Bowen, as well. And we got to see a fun cameo from Martin Short, who ran out of Ozempic and is sitting there with Lorne Michaels watching this go down. So we actually get our first musical monologue of the season, the first one since Jake Gyllenhaal's episode last season. Okay. Victoria, how did you feel about it?
I really liked it. I think, man, I've been watching SNL for a long time, but I think that was the first time I saw Lorne Michaels actually laugh, like in break, when Martin Short was like, I need more Ozempic or whatever it was. I was distracted by Lorne Michaels.
Well, I think it was him chowing down on that cheeseburger or whatever that really made Lorne break.
Yeah, no, that was so funny to me. And I think, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the cherry on top of this whole thing. Let's just skip to the end here with the whole superstar at the end. Like, what a great homage to such an iconic character, but without being that character, if that makes sense. I think it was a perfect nod to someone we love so dearly.
Yeah, that is fair. I mean, that moment at the end was a great, photo finish where we get Martin Short on stage with Bowen and Ego and all of the cast that was in the monologue, basically talking and praising Molly as she is doing the superstar pose. So what did you think about this, Andrew? Did you think that this fulfilled your expectations as far as the monologue was concerned?
It was fine. I usually go back and forth on these song and dance monologues, but this one was, I felt cute enough. I think they were kind of, I don't know. It felt like it needed something else. And also the Martin Short cameo was not the cameo from a former cast member that I was kind of hoping for from tonight. So that was kind of bizarre. But it was fun just to see him crack up Lorne. Indeed, I got a chuckle from that. But I don't know. I kind of wished that we could have done what we've been doing with the monologues with Molly and kind of talk about where she's been since the last time she's hosted. I mean, she's had a really fascinating career since her time on the show, where, I mean, you think of Molly on the show and you think of these crazy hyperactive characters, and then she's moved on to like some really like sort of good dramatic character actor work that is very different than what she was doing on the show. So I thought they maybe could have played with that a little bit and done something with that. But for what we got, I wasn't too terribly mad. It was fun.
Honestly, it was, in my head, I was comparing this a little bit to her previous monologue that she did in 2007, which featured, for me, one of my favorite Lorne Michaels appearances of all time, where they basically do like a film. They go to like tape of when Molly was on the cast and had a secret affair with Lorne Michaels. And there's like all these like shots. They like redid Lorne's office to make it seem like it was like in the 90s. And they just have this
Vaguely
back and
recalling
forth
that,
with each
yeah.
other. Yeah. It was a really fun monologue. So like I sort of wanted them to have that sort of fun and, maybe reference old characters in addition to Mary Catherine Gallagher or, have something there. But I think that, it hit some of the elements I was looking for, but maybe not all of them. Sammy, how did you feel about the monologue?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Andrew as far as like just the, concept or the premise of the monologue. I'm not somebody that hates on musical monologues at all, but I do think looking back at the show, we definitely had a lot of kind of song and dance elements to sketches. So, I feel like there's something else we could have done here. Obviously, it was great to see Molly. I'm sure someone at the show saw our charts on social media about, cast members coming to host with people on the cast that have the same name. That's, clearly why they got that spotlight here. Yeah, I mean, some solid cast appearances. I like the joke about like Ego having COVID and coughing on Bowen. I thought that was fun. And then, yeah, I mean, obviously the Martin Short cameo like totally steals this, which, is, I don't know if like unfortunate is the word, but it's like it's kind of like it's Molly's big return. So
weird, yeah.
Yeah,
Just like I don't think there's any
choice.
crossover between her and Martin.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
that's like exactly kind of how I felt about that as well. But again, like it made me laugh, and it kind of gave me the biggest laugh of the monologue. So in the show that I kind of said earlier was more fun than funny, that was a really funny moment. So, I think there could have been other avenues to go about, but it was kind of nice to have this moment for her to kind of share, like you said, stuff about her dad and everything like that. But it is pretty serviceable, but that's kind of how I felt about it.
For sure. I mean, the only crossover that we really do have is in 1996. Martin Short, season 22, would host the show and then would appear in a couple sketches with Molly. But again, not it's not like Anna Gasteyer, right? But anyways, so let's get into the sketches that we saw from tonight, and we open things up with our Valet sketch where Andrew Dismukes is training JAJ, Molly, and Keenan to become valet people, I guess, and who pick up the keys and take the cars. They're people. And then we have different sets of customers who come up. So Chloe and Sarah, Michael and Heidi, Punky, Molly, and then Molly Carney, and eventually Devin. And basically, Andrew is training the three new valets, JJ, Molly, Shannon, and Keenan, to crack a joke, nod their head, and then do a light jog. And it's like a fun Andrew Dismukes style piece where he's sort of guiding them along the way. Andrew Dick, how did you feel about this one?
I like this one. I think this was a good start to the night. Some fun, loopy energy to this. And just a lot of fun details within the performances. Dismukes' little jog absolutely killed me. But then, like, as it, expands onto the other people, JAJ, where he just tosses the keys back at them, and Keenan screaming pass at Punky. I thought there was a lot of for what was not the greatest framing device. I thought that they got some good details in there. So overall, this was more what I kind of was hoping the energy of the night would be, was this sketch. And it was like, okay, I'm digging this one, and I'm hoping that we can just kind of continue on with this energy. And I don't think it, oddly enough, I don't think the show really hit the heights of this sketch again.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, this was so people in the chat were asking about the writers for this one. So this one was PDD and August White here, but we get it was fun to see the lightness of Andrew Dismukes and JAJ, especially right at the beginning of that sketch, and the back and forth between the cast members. So I definitely get your point, Andrew. Sammy, how did you feel about this one?
Yeah, also really like this one. Definitely the visual kind of, he reveals the sign of the three rules, little joke, little jog, or little bad, little joke. Thought that was very funny. Cool to see JJ get to like have like a very specific character choice here. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but I thought it was very funny. You know, and yeah, I mean, all the interactions with the cast were good. Just yeah, I mean, I think they kind of just like took this premise, you know, and they didn't like do anything crazy with it, but you know, they kind of, you know, nailed, you know, what we kind of are going into with this sketch. I mean, it's you know, the typical these people are bad at their jobs and let's see them be bad at their jobs sort of vehicle. And you know, not the most original thing, but I enjoyed it and I thought it was a fun way to start off.
I actually thought Keenan was really funny in this sketch, in particular when he was just whispering. Like that was like, it was so different from what we normally get from Keenan in terms of a character choice that I thought that it worked really well here. Victoria, how do you feel about what we got from Valet?
Well, first, I think the cover photo of the apartment is a Chicago apartment. I think I looked at that apartment. Anyway, we'll talk about it. No, I kind of opposite of what Andy just said. I love the structure of this game that they were playing, and I automatically knew, and maybe I'm so smart I can tell when comedy's indie comedy, or maybe it was a little bit obvious of like, we know that they're gonna give us these rules of you know, little joke, little bow, little bow, and little jog. I keep on saying bow wow. So yeah,
yeah, me too. Yeah.
And
I do wonder if that was a reference to the Lil rappers that we've had lately, like Lil Yachty last week.
Lil Yachty, yep.
Yeah. And I was kind of hoping Bow Wow would be involved, but you know what? Wishful thinking. But you like knew that they would take turns and be bad at their jobs and be funny. So I did like the framing of it. Is it something extraordinary that we've never seen before? No, but I really love the game that they did. And just to kind of echo what John said, my favorite part was Keenan, but more so watching Devin break. I love when Devin breaks. I think he might be the Bill Hader of breaking of this generation. No, I'm kidding. He hasn't broken that much. That was too big of a label to give him. But no, I really love that.
Never know.
Take your car. Yeah. And also,
I mean, if Keenan screamed that at me, I would break too. I wonder if Keenan gave it more than he gave it in dress or something to screw with him.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And
I think that happened a lot tonight. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. I will say too, I love seeing, I always want to call him Shrimp Zhaj because that's how I read his Instagram handle. But James Austin Johnson, I love seeing him do a character and given the opportunity to do characters versus impersonations. I just like, I feel, this is personal opinion, which is why I'm on the show. I feel like sometimes SNL pigeonholes impressionists and they have to do impressions.
Here come the YouTube comments.
Hey, I'm the queen of controversy. No, it just feels like sometimes they get pigeonholed in that and they want to do more and then they're not given the opportunity and then it doesn't work out or something like that. I could be wrong. I could not be looking into it, but that's my opinion. Deal with it. No, but I love that. I love when he gets the opportunity to do something else and he's really funny. I like his haircut. I don't know if that's his real hair or a wig, but I like the hair.
Okay.
All
right. Well, let's keep going. Let's talk about the Netflix live promo pre-tape we got here. So it opens up and there's this, big mystery. This shadowy figure is about to emerge on stage and join the greats in the Netflix live comedy specials. And this time it is Jeannie Darcy, our classic Molly Shannon stand-up character in a special called Selective Startage, where we get her performance on stage with a bunch of commentary from other comedians, including Ego as Arsenio Hall, Punky as Wanda Sykes, Chloe as Sarah Silverman, and we eventually get to see the set list, which is a ton of Don't Get Me Started, Don't Even Get Me Started, and of course the very, classic audience that is just muted the entire time. So this is a different version of Jeannie Darcy than what we've seen in the past. Sammy, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, this was interesting, was an interesting way to get this character because, I went back and I rewatched the episode from 2007 that she hosted, and it just so happened that she brought back Jeannie Darcy and Sally O'Malley, which we eventually get in this episode as well. So, that was just like a typical, her kind of that weekend update approach to the character, and this is in a pre-tape. And I found that some of the elements of this being a pre-tape didn't necessarily vibe for me. I mean, obviously, kind of like the joke is that she's a stand-up who, you know, isn't like hilarious, you know, and you know, a lot of the dead air bits, you know, kind of flashing to the Netflix audience, kind of made the, you know, energy of the pre-tape kind of weird, and then kind of cutting back and forth to the you know, the commentary aspect of it with, you know, all the other impressions. The flow of it was weird. I was really, you know, happy to see this character back, and you know, I found a lot of the elements where they kind of commented on her character to be really funny, like Punky as Wanda Sykes, like finding out that she's not a lesbian. I thought that was like really great. And then, you know, Chloe as Sarah Silverman, you know, with the don't get me started. Like I found those elements to work really well. But, you know, putting this character in a pre-tape versus live where you kind of get to see, you know, other people's reaction, you know, play off of her kind of bad joke telling. It was I kind of understand why they did this with the Chris Rock special just recently happening and everything, but you know, not you know, my ideal avenue for this particular character.
What's interesting here is that I actually like this, but I hated where they placed this in the night. I think this was so meant for back half material because of its tone. I don't know, Victoria, am I off here?
No, I totally agree. It's yeah, I think it's something that's it's usually the latter half of the show where they put something like this. So it was a little bit surprising for me to see it so early on in the episode. But I actually model my comedy after Jeannie Darcy. I love dead air and not getting laughs. So it
Me
was
too, sister
very,
friend.
yeah, it was very personal to me, and reminded me why I do comedy on the side. No, but in all seriousness, I was too taken aback by Ego as JP Smoove, and just that made me laugh, and I was kind of distracted by the thought of that for the rest of the sketch. And then, you know, Chloe does a really great Sarah Silverman. Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, the placement of it kind of threw me off, and so I would have liked to see it a little bit later.
Yeah, and to put a
So-
finer
Yeah.
point on it, it's just the, you know, I feel like at the beginning is where you want the energy. And I think when you're going to try something that is, you know, supposed to surprise you or just be like the laughs are in how quiet it is, I think that's the point where you do something like that towards the end of the night, which is why we
Yeah.
get a lot of the, you know, test 10-to-1 type of sketches. But Andrew, how did you feel about it in the comments we're discussing here?
Well, you know, and I was overjoyed when I saw this because I made a post earlier on Twitter today talking about how Jeannie Darcy is honestly one of my favorite Molly characters ever. And so super hyped when I saw that, oh my God, we're doing it. But yeah, the whole framing of this didn't work in all three ways it was trying to go, because you had the Chris Rock parody of his new special, you had the testimonies, and then you had Jeannie Darcy out there bombing as she does. And as a pre-tape, like, just none of it gelled, because the whole magic of Jeannie Darcy is that it is a live thing played to the audience, you know, pretty much directly. And it's just a screw with the audience thing where Molly just goes out there and it just tells purposely hacky or awful jokes. And you're supposed to sit in the moment as the live audience and feel those beats. So to have it pre-taped kind of robs it of the effect of the character. And so that was the thing that bothered me the most. And so actually it kind of makes sense that they did put it up top, because it was really pacey and it was moving through like three different, you know, the Chris Rock and then the testimonials. None of the testimonials really worked for me. No comment on Chloe's Sarah Silverman. My God. And then, you know, some of the Jeannie Darcy stuff was still making me laugh, but it was like, it was too unfocused. And I was like, no, you just get up and you just do. Like, I didn't want all of the extra accoutrement to it. I just wanted Jeannie Darcy up there bombing yet again, and that's all they really wanted. So it was a bit bittersweet, to be honest.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, now that you say that, if it was live, they would have had to do the extra stuff, or it would be kind of weird if they played out the celebrities coming in and giving their commentary. I think yeah, I think I agree with if it was live and it's doing to a live audience, it may have worked a little bit better.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? It's an exercise of how long can we keep the audience dry in the same way that you have in the cold open. It's like we're looking at the game that's happening where it's like, how long can Trump talk for while the people stand still? And
Right.
I think that that's the beauty of what you're saying, Andrew. So I agree that in a way it is the antithesis to what made the Jeannie Darcy stuff work in the past. So it's a very interesting point and one that we'll continue to talk about, I'm sure, as we go forward. Okay, next sketch we get is the maternity leave sketch, where we have all of these coworkers of Molly's character who are sitting around the office celebrating her eventual maternity leave, where we have Bowen, Andrew, Heidi, and Sarah, Keenan as the boss, Jim, and Molly is pregnant. And they keep talking about the gifts and her leaving. And then eventually it turns out to be a giant fart joke where Molly finds out that she's not actually pregnant, and it's just been something that she's been holding in for a while. And then Marcelo eventually comes with the lunch order. Molly gets quote unquote pregnant again, and it's the back and forth of this. So Victoria, you're up first. How'd you feel about this?
Listen, we've all been there, so it was
We
very
have.
relatable. What? Have we not? It was very relatable. Felt like a personal attack. No, it was very funny. It's actually, I don't know if they were playing into revealing a lot about myself.
Please go on.
Easy.
Spill.
I don't. What's
Spill.
about to happen?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of like TikToks about bloating, or like how women or people will look pregnant, but it's not pregnancy. It's like gas or bloating. It's like, oh, I don't know if they were playing into that. It comes up a lot on my For You page. I don't know what's going on.
Your algorithm is interesting.
I don't know what else is going on out there, but I was like, they're probably picking up on the TikTok trends. So, but no, I think that's like that's all I'm gonna say.
All right, well,
Mic drop.
well, that explains that. Andrew,
Smells like twins over here.
yeah.
Well, I also felt this was a personal attack because I thought this was dreadful. I don't need to relitigate any of this stuff, but I hate poop jokes. I hate fart jokes. An extended 5-minute fart joke. It didn't work for me, and I'm just gonna stop right there. I didn't like this.
Sammy, you got anything constructive here?
Let's see. I mean, I was kind of flabbergasted. I guess, is that a pun? I don't know. I was kind of flabbergasted when it's kind of revealed that.
Speaking of gas,
Speaking of gas, that it just was like the whole game of the sketch was going to be like this fart joke. Like, obviously, like, you know, we get potty humor on SNL, like, you know, now and then, but this was like just like very much like capital P, like potty humor. But there were some funny lines there. I'll give you that. Like I said it before, but like the, you know, smells like maybe it was twins. I thought that was funny. Maybe I'm a child. And then I did also like kind of the running bit towards the back half of the sketch where, you know, she's kind of relieved that she's not pregnant and she's able to, like, you know, drink again at work and she's able to smoke a cigar. I found those things to be kind of funny, but you know, it's at the end of the day, it's a long, smelly fart joke of a sketch.
right?
So no one else thought this was personal. Okay.
I mean, I didn't, and I will say, like I've said before, like I like fart jokes, I like poop jokes, and I think some of these guys, there's been some really funny poop SNL humor in the past. I just like didn't fully see it here. Like I didn't get like that, and maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe it was for Victoria, and that's okay. But I personally,
Victoria does not seem to be appreciative of it, though.
no, I'm just saying, I personally like just haven't had the thought of like, oh, I look pregnant, you know? So it didn't come across for me. So for me, I don't
Fair.
know. I feel that like, again, what they did in the Woody episode with the whole like, poop in the box and send it in the mail type of thing, like, I still vouch that I thought that was like a really, really funny pre-tape.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this didn't work for me as much. And I would say this is probably my low point of the night. But I think we do pick things back up with Please Don't Destroy with Molly Shannon 2K23. So in your classic like EA Sports style video games, we get a Molly Shannon version of a game where we find out that John and Martin and all the boys are playing playing this game since the original days of Molly 1995. And Molly Shannon comes into their dressing room and sees how the game is being played, and it turns out that Molly is on the Tonight Show, and there's a fun little side quest with Jimmy Fallon there and an NYU commencement speech, and then they have to buy new outfits, and there's so many little Easter eggs here. This is the one that I cannot wait to go back and rewatch, because we even get a little bit of Mary Catherine Gallagher in here again, and lots of references to Molly's time on the show. So for me, this was like a fun, really truly fan service sketch that PDD made for Molly Shannon. Andrew, how did you feel about it?
I thought this one was fine, and apparently this was a rewrite of a sketch they did pre-SNL. So I think they fill it out with enough good details. I love that the economy for the game is turnips. That cracked me up. Just the bizarre idea that turnips is the currency of the Molly games. It was really fucking funny to me. And also I love the cover of Molly 95. Like props to everybody, all the designers who threw this stuff together, the people that did the graphics and everything. It was in service of, I felt, an okay sketch.
Okay. Should it have been sweaty balls as the potential, what they had to get, like one of the food products from the NPR sketch?
Oh, I don't know. What, sweaty balls replacing turnips?
Yeah,
No,
or something like
turnips is way funnier.
Dusty muffins or something like that.
No, I love turnips. The bizarre idea that it's just turnips, that makes no sense. But that's
All
the
right.
currency.
Sammy, what do you think of this?
Well, just to add to the turnips, conversation, Animal Crossing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that game, but turnips are the currency in the most recent Animal Crossing game. So that's got to be that's got to be the connection there. Yeah, this was an interesting experience for me because the video that Andrew referred to that they kind of remade was a TikTok they posted. I think it was about Shailene Woodley, and it was pretty much like the exact same premise where they're playing a video game based on Shailene Woodley's life, and they like totally reuse the Tonight Show bit with like her being on the Tonight Show, like in that sketch show. That was one of like the first Please Don't Destroy like videos that like for me like went viral and like made it to my For You page. So it was really interesting to see them try to recreate that on SNL. That being said, the tempo of this Please Don't Destroy sketch was like kind of off for me. I feel like it wasn't as kind of fast paced as we usually get it. And I don't know if that was an intentional choice to kind of help Molly like play more into that world. I liked, kind of the turn where she's playing her own game and decides to become a rapper. I found that to be pretty cute, but then I didn't need it to go into this kind of like weird, like video game mashup with a rap song thing. Like, kind of felt like my TV was glitching a little bit at certain points.
Yeah, I wonder if they did not like. Oh, okay, that wasn't just me. I was really wondering. Did they not
I was very confused?
Okay, I thought that was me too.
I didn't. Okay,
yeah, I thought that was. Yeah, I was like very confused that I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah, okay.
I'm glad we're all on the same page with that. But yeah, I mean, and maybe that was the medium, all the issues with how that was presented, was why it kind of ended with a thud for me. But I like the concept. Kind of interesting that they're remaking their own material already, only 2 years into the show. some nice fan service for Molly Shannon fans in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've gone like 5 or 6 episodes in a row with a PDD pre-tape. So it's like, they're on this like run of just continuing to do them episode after episode, which is really interesting because I felt like in the first half it was a little bit more spaced out. Wonder if that affects the ideas that they have in the bank or not. But I did like this one a lot. Victoria, what did you think of it?
Well, one, interesting to know that Sammy's FYP is different than mine. No,
Just a
no,
little.
just a little. I saw someone in the comments say that the guys don't get it. It's for all the prebiotic girlies. Anyway,
We're happy to have you here, Victoria.
thank you so much. I represent the digestive issue community. No, I think PDD never, like, I'm never unhappy with what they put out. I'm never like, oh, that was, it's always, I always laugh at some point. I always leave it feeling pretty good. Some better than others. The thing that caught my immediately was the PlayStation cover. Like, that was such a great detail. I love that they did it.
Spot on.
Yeah, like the details like that really make stuff like better than than it is. The glitch thing I think was paying homage to how old PlayStation is. I don't know, because I also was like, what's going on? And I did check my Wi-Fi, but it was all good. I don't know. I kind of agree with what's been said, but I do want to call out my favorite line is punk ass haters getting married Katherine Gallagher. And I'm gonna use that forever. Will people understand what that means? No. And they don't need to. They just know that it's gonna happen to them.
We do.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have The Play, where Devin and Heidi are attending a version of Heidi's life, witnessing her play. And, before the show starts, we find out that Michael Longfellow, another, goer to the play, says that he loves this play. And we end up getting Molly Shannon playing Sophie Lespazio, I believe, who is the character of Heidi's life. And, we get to hear all about Heidi's character's life, including how she almost got married and then she had the year of 1,000 men. We also see Bowen and Marcello in the play. And then we end up, learning that Devin's character is, and going to be played by Keenan in this role and similarly dressed. And we find out that really, Heidi wants to get back with her ex Trevor, the one that got away, who gets played by former SNL host Nick Jonas and current musical guest tonight. And then ultimately it is Andrew Dismukes, who is playing the character that changed her life, Mr. 1001, who is a version of Michael Longfellow's character. So a lot of different paths we went down here to get through to this point. But Sammy, I would love to know what you think of the play.
I actually really enjoyed this one. This might be, for me, my favorite live sketch of the night. I found the premise just to be like really just executed pretty well. The idea of like you're going to see a play about your significant other's life and just, you're finding out all these things about her that you didn't know. I think that's like a really fun game. I think, this was a sketch that like, Molly was like really able to shine in and kind of anchor it. And it kind of reminded me of those high school play performance sketches that they would do, with like 80 and maybe Taryn, like, around that era of the show. And I always found those to be, really fun, just like kind of bad theater. I mean, I think the theatricality in this is maybe done a little bit better than kind of those sketches. It's actually like a well done sort of play, but I kind of liked playing in that world. And then like the twists that they kind of implement into here with Keenan being a version of Devin's character, and then Dismukes being a version of Longfellow's character. I thought that was like just very clever. Nick Jonas cameo was fun. Not sure if I needed it, but overall, I really enjoyed this.
For sure. Credit to PDD, Fowley, and O'Sullivan for coming up with this one. Victoria, what did you think of the play?
I really liked it. I wish they did, unless I missed it, I wish they played Jealous by Nick Jonas at some point. I feel like it would just like really like, put the bow on top. No, I think it was really fun. I loved, as Sammy just mentioned, the real time of like, wait, what? Like, this is us right now. And Heidi ends up making out with what's it called, with Longfellow, and that was a fun play. I also love that it kind of got to showcase yet again Molly's ability to be, I don't know, I feel like the play felt like a play versus we're watching a sketch that has a play, if that makes sense. I think the choreography in the back was really good, especially with like the bowling and the pins. I really picked up on those details. I think they really made this a little bit unique for me. I didn't expect to like it, but I ended up, because of so many little things that worked for me, ended up liking it overall.
Andrew, how do you feel about the play?
Well, I was surprised that SNL finally had the balls to do a sketch around somebody getting cucked in the end. Brave new frontier for them, especially in this season. I thought this was all right. To be honest, I missed the setup to this, so I was a bit briefly confused. I was like, wait, so this is oh, okay, this is Heidi wrote this. And so it took me a second to get calibrated. And that was my own fault. And so I did enjoy a handful of details, as everybody mentioned. The bowling pins and stuff was really funny. And I felt that they should have gone deeper into that. I really kind of wished that we didn't have the constant cutbacks to Heidi and Devin, because they didn't really heighten the sketch at all. It just kind of, it felt flat again. And I felt that more ideas of a bad sort of personal one woman or one person stage show, and throw all your ideas of that kind of trope would have been a stronger way to go about it. But this is another one where it just kind of, there was too many ideas on the table, and they just kind of touch a handful of them, and it doesn't really wrap into something memorable in the end.
I said last week that I felt that the Quinta episode was one of the more creative episodes of SNL that I've seen in a long time. And I felt like that this was a extremely creative sketch. And I love, just to put a point on it, is that I think that though it wasn't perfect for me, I think that I love that they attempted it. I really just felt like that they tried a lot of things here. I love that there was like a lot of callbacks. Like you have to listen to the beginning of the sketch, as Andrew's saying, to really get everything that happens at the end of the sketch. So it's a journey that you go on where it basically, if you're going to enjoy this, you have to be able to pay attention to the entire sketch. And in a sketch that's probably 5 or 6 minutes long, featuring cameos and dance choreographies, it's hard to keep your attention all the way through on the plot and the storyline. So I love what they were going for here, and I'm not sure if it was fully executed. I think if it was tighter, but as creative as it was, it would have been a really, really top-notch sketch. So that's sort of where I'm at.
One thing that people have yet to notice or mention, though, the tuba sounds for when Keenan comes out had me rolling. That was great. That was very good. Yeah, that's another part that really worked for me.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Jonas Brothers. So they come in and they've been guests on the show many times before. Nick Jonas obviously has hosted and now was the musical guest for the 5th time on the show. So big congrats to Nick Jonas there. They perform Waffle House and Walls. We do get a really fun shot in the commercial break of Joe Jonas having his Mary Katherine Gallagher moment with his hands under his armpits and smelling his fingers. So that was a cute moment if you go back and check that out. But Victoria, thumbs up on the Jonas Brothers, thumbs down. How are you feeling?
I wasn't really a Jonas Brothers fan growing up. It wasn't until Sucker. I know I'm not a real fan. I'm a fake fan. I wasn't until like Sucker era where I was like, oh, okay, they're grown, they're cute. I'm picking up what they're laying down. I don't know. I think they're great. I love that, especially Nick is willing to play with the cast. It kind of feels like a fourth wall breaking, if that makes sense, within the cast and crew. So I love whenever they show up, and they're just talented performers. What's not to love? I do wish Kevin and Joe were part of the play sketch. Like they ended up being other lovers, just to kind of see all 3 of them, but not necessary.
For sure. Andrew, I know you love boy bands. So how did you feel about the Jonas Brothers tonight?
I thought it was fine, inoffensive. I'm not going to go listen to it again, but it didn't make my ears bleed. It's fine. The first one was like, hey, they're doing an 80s pop song, kind of Hall & Oates-ish. And then the second song was more down-tempo. It was fine. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. It was there.
Did you say fine and offensive?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little Hanson-like, but Sammy, what did you think of the Jonas Brothers tonight?
I don't know. They call me the bonus Jonas, so I'm a little biased. No, I mean, I grew up with the Jonas Brothers. Like every time there's like a Disney Channel alum on the show, like I'm always like excited, even if I'm not like listening to like their new music. Would have rather heard them play "Burning Up" or "Year 3000," but solid, fine performance.
Yeah, my go ahead.
So sorry. I never realized how much like Frankie you look like.
I wasn't even like making that connection. I was just being a goof, but
No, you kind of look like
I'll
Frankie
take it.
Jonas.
I'll take it.
Okay.
it.
Let me
Okay,
just say,
sorry.
I was praying that during their performance of Waffle House, we would get Mikey's character from Waffle House a couple
I
weeks ago.
did.
Just
Yeah,
to be in
I
the
was
back.
like,
Yeah.
you can't be doing a Waffle House song 2
It's
weeks
just like, it
after
was-
the Waffle House sketch.
It was right there. It was right there. But let's
Put Mikey in the bumper somehow and like make some reference, like before the
What would've
performance.
been
I don't
so
know if they do that with cast members ever, but
Oh, would've been so
break
good.
the mold.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about what we had on Weekend Update tonight. So obviously a little bit of a less lively Weekend Update compared to that all-time moment we had last week. But this time we get 3 different correspondents: Bowen Yang as Jafar, Punky as basketball player Angel Reese, and then Heidi as Crystal, the coworker who's extremely busy doing seemingly nothing. So let's try and rapid fire these as best we can. And Sammy, let's start on Jafar. So thoughts on Jafar?
I usually can be hit or miss with some of these Bowen, costume pieces, but I really like this. I found this to be like a good outlet for Bowen to kind of get his thoughts out on everything going down with Disney and the Don't Say Gay bill and everything like that, and having the whole reveal be about how Jafar is a gay character was like really funny, like all the specific details and nods to the character that would make you stereotypically think he could be gay. I found it to be very funny. So I really like this piece.
Victoria, what do you think of Jafar?
I love whenever Bowen is at the Weekend Update desk. So it was a win for me. At first I was like, oh, if only they had a Middle Eastern cast mate to, play it. But then he went into his thing. I was like, all right, maybe not for me, but it works. I love it.
Andrew?
I thought it was fine. Yeah, one of the better Bowen pieces we've had in the last couple weeks.
Okay, Andrew, pick us up on Angel Reese, the basketball player, WNBA basketball player, just won a national championship for the LSU Tigers. Recently said that she was maybe not going to go to the White House after Joe Biden invited the runner-ups to the White House, and has been in the news a lot. So how do you feel about Punky's performance on Update tonight?
It was fine. I love Punky, and this was a very energetic and fun performance, but I thought a lot of the jokes honestly didn't really land for me. So I really was left wanting more, to be honest. Like I was like, oh man, I felt like they had a clear through line, and they just, I don't know, it didn't really connect. Like the fake, I don't know. It just it was
Okay, Sammy, did you like what you saw from Punky tonight?
I like the performance. Definitely, just something about like when Punky goes and is kind of able to just have a little element of herself in her characters is really endearing. I mean, obviously we saw that with her piece with Mikey a couple weeks ago, but the material itself, I kind of agree with Andrew. Like when she's kind of going on the runner of like the brand deals that she could potentially get with now, all this.
Somebody said
Disney
it's like very
fame.
big poppy, and I was like, yeah, that is kind of the format that this was going on.
That's a good point for sure. But yeah, no, some of the jokes for me, like the actual stuff she chose to focus on, I didn't love, but I like the energy. So,
Victoria, how are you feeling about what you saw from Punky tonight?
One, I have said it before, I'll say it again. I always want more Punky. We need more Punky in the show. So whenever I get her, I'll take her. I've been following the Angel Reese situation. I love Angel Reese's energy. Follow her on Twitter. She is fire tweets and clapbacks. They're great. I think this was, I mean, it was fun. I think it was more energy for me than dialogue per se, than the actual content. But I would give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
Me.
I think we can all agree that Punky, performance-wise, was bringing it tonight, and I think she does every time she's on the show in terms of energy.
Yeah.
So if the writing could match the quality that she brings to the performances, I think we would be really thrilled to have her there. So, I'm glad that they gave her the opportunity to be on Update tonight. And then finally, we get Heidi playing Crystal, the coworker who's extremely busy doing seemingly nothing. So Heidi, method acting here, going through all of the motions with Colin Jost. We ultimately find out that she is Che's assistant, and we get some good salad work. So Victoria, how do you feel about Heidi's character tonight?
We all know Heidi's character. This one also felt personal. Not that that's me, but that we all know someone just like this. I think it was nicely done. It was big exaggerations that made it so fun. If it was a little bit simmered down, I don't think it would have been as fun. I completely love that character.
Andrew, did you like this one from Heidi?
Well, I'm new to this channel, and I'm wondering why I hate everything. Yeah, this didn't work for me. I'll just stop right there.
Okay, all right. Don't get in your head. We want to hear your thoughts. Don't worry.
People hate everything I say. Everybody's echoing what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, Andrew's kind of right, but then it's like, I hate this Andrew guy.
You're
yeah,
here
I
for
hate
a
what
reason.
I say too. It's okay.
You're here for a reason. We'll get your thoughts as we continue to go through. But Sammy, what about you from Heidi tonight?
I want to yield my time to Andrew to go more into this Heidi character. No, I mean, look, I've said it a lot on this show. Like, the thing I love about Heidi doing stuff on Update is just how kind of lived in and specific her characters are. And I feel like she, there's so many little details to this where she's, pulling up flyers and, showing things on her computer. And, it's definitely something we've seen before in kind of just a different character shell. But, I like seeing Heidi at the desk. So I like this.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into our sketches that happen post-Weekend Update. And first, we get Drug Commercial, where Andrew Dismukes is the director, and we get Ego, Molly, and Molly all dancing to a song about a vaginal drug that has come out yet that hasn't been properly tested, and we get a million different names for it. Keenan also appears as the voiceover person on the side who's explaining what's happening in the commercial. And it's sort of like two different sketches, in my opinion. Like, we get one plot, which is Molly being passive aggressive towards the other dancers, saying that they aren't really doing what Molly Shannon is, pulling off in the sketch. And then the other part is Keenan kind of just being nuts. So it was a really interesting, version of what we got, because I felt like there was something here really with the Molly part, but the Keenan part kept throwing me off. Victoria, how do you feel about it?
Oh, you come to me first because it's a vaginal. No, I'm kidding. No, I agree. There was too much happening at once for me. I would have loved if they stuck to like one line, like one what's the word? Storyline versus like adding this in, like, creating conflict with the dancers versus, Keenan coming up. If they had structured it without having necessarily doing a pre-tape like Woody Harrelson's Cologuard type situation, but also we already had like a drug commercial, not too long ago. I feel like we could have done something else here. There were some funny lines, but I think I could have gone without the sketch overall. But yeah, it's it didn't do it for me. But it was still, I guess, fun and energy, just a little too chaotic.
Okay, Andrew, how do you feel about this one?
This is another one that felt like it had the two ideas and really couldn't tie them together. The whole thing with Molly and her two dancers, like, that wasn't going anywhere. So I did appreciate that they just had Keenan come out and read dumb Keenan lines. And so that kind of saved me. The whole Vegeta part, and maybe it's just because I'm revisiting Dragon Ball right now, but the whole just mentioning Vegeta on SNL and just constantly over and over, and just somehow it broke me down, and I started to get into it when Keenan just came in spouting nonsense, because he's one of the best to ever do that. So I see other people saying that, and yeah, Keenan doesn't really fit into this, but the two parts just don't fit. So
Right.
it all depends on which section you enjoy, but it feels a sketch at odds with itself. But I did eventually get some laughs out of it.
Yeah, I think there was laughs to me in both parts, but then they just like undercut each other. And I think that's
Yeah.
the problem with what we saw here tonight. Sammy, do you agree with what the panel is saying?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page with everybody. You've got the kind of avenue of like you're trying to film a commercial, and you keep doing different takes, and things aren't going well, and then you just have Keenan being Keenan, and when Keenan first pops in, I'm like, oh, this is like funny and kind of saving the sketch, and then almost to I don't know if detriment's the right word, but it's kind of to the point where it's like we're losing the plot of where we kind of first started with the
It went on
sketch.
so long.
It went on really long, and it was funny, and then it kept going, and then I'm like, oh, we're still in this. Like, it's actually, I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure maybe it's somewhat intentional, but like just like Molly and Ego and Molly just in the background out of focus for so long in the sketch. Like when I would glance at that, I was like, oh, we're still in this sketch. It was almost like echoing
It's the sketch.
it was almost like Keenan's version of J.J. Trump at the beginning in the cold open, and having the Last Supper in the background. So yeah, I'm with everybody. Like didn't necessarily work, but kind of threw Keenan in there to try to give this a little life.
Okay, let's move on to our Sally O'Malley sketch, written by Seidel Gates, and former SNL great writer Steve Coren comes in to help with this one. So here we go. Chloe and Bowen are the choreographers of the Jonas Brothers tour. Keenan comes in as the Jonas Brothers manager, and then he says, well, sorry, guys, we're going to have to let you go because we're going to get a new choreographer. And in comes Sally O'Malley with the camel toe on full display. We get eventually coming in, we get the full Sally O'Malley experience. The Jonas Brothers eventually will come in and to put some bonus in there, Jonas. So, Andrew, how'd you feel about the return of Sally O'Malley?
I mean, pretty shocked to see it so late at night, and then the sketch unfurled, and I was like, I guess I can see why they put this so late at night. Hate to be old Andrew Dick here, but this one didn't quite work for me. Kind of just, I mean, if you've seen a Sally O'Malley sketch, you kind of seen them all, and this was just another one, except here comes the Jonas Brothers, and they're also in the same costume. And it just, it didn't, I don't know, it didn't add anything. And also, I mean, Molly's now older than this character. They didn't even age it up or do anything with that. Like, there's other lanes to take with Sally O'Malley than just still having her 50 and kicking and just like, it's the same. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, last time we did get to see Sally O'Malley, it was on Weekend Update during the Betty White episode back in 2010, where we got Betty White with Molly Shannon as Dottie O'Donegan. So that was a really fun, it was a very, very fun version of that particular sketch. Sammy, did you like this?
It kind of goes back to my headline of like, fun versus funny. Like it's fun to see the Jonas Brothers come in and kind of pay tribute to this character. I'm not sure if, they, love Sally O'Malley. They're huge Sally O'Malley heads, or they're just, just happen to slot in nicely here. But, I did have a question of whether they were wearing the red kind of leotard, like under their clothes when they were performing their second musical performance, just because of the placement of the sketch. I wasn't sure if they're wearing the same outfits as when they were performing. So, that's something we'll have to dig into. You guys will have to dig into on the round table. But I do think like there is, something more they could have done if they chose to bring this character back, especially as I mentioned before, like these are the two characters she did in her episode that she hosted in 2007. So, I found both of those iterations of the sketches she brought back to be stronger in 2007. Like the Sally O'Malley sketch for that was in the Sopranos strip club, which was very funny. And rewatching that recently, I was like, I probably didn't know what the Sopranos was when I watched this as a child, and now I've seen the whole show, and it's great. So yeah, again, nice to see. Could have done more with it. That's but the visual of the Jonas Brothers in the Sally O'Malley attire kind of makes it all worth it. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, all right, different strokes. But Victoria, what did you think of the sketch?
I'm gonna have to disagree with some of the panel tonight.
Okay.
Sometimes someone like a Sally O'Malley, I kind of want it the same as we saw it. I don't want anything new. I don't want anything embellished. Like, give me the good old days, as they say. That's what hasn't been fodder. So yeah, whatever, we get it. I wanted her to be like the same. She's 50, and I love that she's been forever 50, and I hope she stays 50 forever. That means she'll never die. Like, that's like my favorite part. I love the kicking, and I think it was just so like, I think it worked with today's stuff of like, this is a Jonas Brothers tour, and like having her be there. I mean, for me, it worked. I really loved it. I think they were clever about placing her there for a Jonas Brothers thing. I love that Bowen broke behind her and couldn't believe it. And he was like, what was the line? Like, I've spent my whole life trying to avoid what I just saw. But for me, I've placed myself so I could see this very thing. I want to see the camel toe. Yeah. I don't know what a male camel toe is, but I love that too. Like, that was fun.
Camel tail.
Is that?
Yeah. That's a good one.
And I love that they were all joined, and they looked great in their little lady in red outfits. No, for me, it was like a total, like, I want to see it just as she was. I don't want any frills. Give me the good old stuff. And I thought it was equally as strong as before.
Okay. See, I think SNL characters should age, and we should see them die.
No.
We should see them slowly degrade. And eventually they pass away.
No.
Well, can I just get in on this for a second and just say,
yes.
This is the Hot Take Show, and this is what the show is meant for, because I loved this sketch. I absolutely thought that this was my favorite moment of the night. I thought the energy was there. I was like, again, I don't think that the writing was extremely clever. Is this like one of the best sketches of the season in terms of the way that it was written? Definitely not. But like, this is what I wanted from Molly Shannon, like coming in and like building a spark in this particular episode. I loved seeing the character return. I actually thought that the Jonas Brothers, it wasn't like, the cherry on top to the sketch. It was like, it just like felt like it made sense because it was ingrained in the premise of it. So for me, I really felt like this was a really strong performance, capped off by the fact that Molly clearly gave 110% here, probably much more than she did in dress rehearsal or in any rehearsal, so that she was going to make everybody else laugh by pulling up her pants even more. So for me, like, this is what was the fun and magic of SNL.
Now, question, do you feel it was appropriate here at this point of the night, or put it more up top where I think it was in dress?
That's like probably the issue I had with it as well, is just maybe placement and just kind of being towards the end of the night.
This is very odd to have it as the last live sketch. Like, I don't know.
I think that is a good point. And perhaps it would have played better earlier on in the night, but I did think it worked for me.
Okay.
So I think it was also like a little nugget of surprise. Like, oh, is it coming back? Are we getting Sally? Are we not getting Sally? Are we getting Mary Katherine, or are we not? And it was a nice little, oh, okay, this is the recurring character that that we got. I also love, I can't say for myself that I can kick that high, and she still can. So
she's still kicking, baby.
She's still kicking, and she'll never die.
And I just want to say, like, I'm not defending myself or my take to the chat here, but I want to just address the point of, like, when I'm talking about energy here, there is multiple kinds of energy. There's Sarah Sherman or Sherry O'Terry energy in a sketch that's just like a ball of fire. I don't think that's what this was. I just feel that the energy here was brought in the fact that, the extra oomph to the performance, where she's then pulling up the pants even more, knowing what else is happening behind her. That's the type of energy I felt like she brought to the sketch. So that's sort of my point. All right, let's go into our final sketch of the night, the CNN app pre-tape, where Ego is voicing over shots of Heidi, Andrew, and Bowen, who are talking about how they're upset about what's happening during the week and everything that's going on with Trump, and they just really need some Zen meditation, and that is what comes here. So the CN Zen app, where we get different cast members, including Longfellow as Anderson Cooper, Devin as Van Jones, Chloe as Dana Bush, Sarah as Wolf Blitzer. Yeah, Molly, I don't believe was playing a real person, if I get that correctly, but Maggie Hagerman, JJ as Lindsey Graham, and Keenan as Alvin Bragg here. So all different versions of political figures are here for people to go into the bathroom at work and listen to the ASMR version of CNN. So let's cap off the night. Andrew, how'd you feel about this one?
Ooh, kind of a miss. To be honest, I can see why this one was probably going to get cut. If they, I'm a liberal-minded person. I also find a lot of liberal people annoying. This could have gone more cutting, to be honest, and it didn't. It kind of, I don't know. It didn't really explore its premise, then just kind of doing, I don't know. I kind of missed the joke, to be honest. Like I didn't understand what it was going for. Then just kind of a weird impression parade, which was a very odd format to put it within, and it seemed to be making a satirical point, but it never quite got there. And so, yeah, Andrew hated the sketch. More at 11.
Stop reading the chat. Victoria, how did you feel about this?
The opposite. Like,
okay, that's good. This is what this is for.
Fair enough.
No, I love, they call out okay. JJ's Lindsey Graham crying into the microphone. Again, I follow this stuff really closely in my day-to-day. So to see it kind of being made fun of and partially what I'm thinking is kind of funny. But JJ's Lindsey Graham crying into a microphone was almost an accurate depiction of what Lindsey Graham's doing all the time. So that was spot on for me. The whole thing of hating Trump is your personality. This is for them. We all know these people. I think it was a great satirical,
but I felt like it needed to actually then go after those people, not then just here's what they would listen to unironically. Go after the people that make that their personal choice as,
I get it. I think that would be funny as well. It's not saying it's not, but I think this also worked because it's what else more do you want? I mean, because there has been a lot of talk that this case is not strong. I love the line Heidi said of I hope this couch isn't as flimsy as this case. I was like, hell yeah, sister, me too. For you. What's it called? And I loved, oh man, what was I going to say? It was nice. Oh, I would be remiss if I did not shout out the sound of the handcuffs and Bowen going, oh. That was so funny to me. I mean, I think showing the shots of those people and their reactions to what they're saying. I mean, okay, I think we can compromise here. If they did less of the impersonations of folks, but more on how these people are reacting and behaving to this, I think it would have been a little bit stronger. But I think I just thought it was funny. It just called on real life things that are happening and how people are behaving. Me being one of them sometimes, I'll say it. I'm just
fair enough.
I'm confessing a lot about myself tonight. Hello.
That's what we love it. That's what we love here. So, I think this is really interesting that we get opposite opinions whenever we discuss a sketch. That's what makes SNL podcasting so much fun. So, Sammy, how about you come in with your thoughts on the CNN app?
I mean, I just love this back and forth going on because this is kind of the back and forth I'm having internally where I totally see Andrew's point of how, it could have done more. They could have done more with this concept. When they, first, show the CN Zen as the reveal, which, great pun, John, I know you love your puns. Great wordplay. And I really enjoyed the premise. I really enjoyed the concept. As I'm watching the sketch, I'm like, oh, this is a fun little pre-tape. I kind of thought we weren't going to get another sketch at the end of the night. And, I'm glad we got this. But I do see your point that, as far as what, was there potential to do more? Perhaps, but then get the Victoria perspective of, well, I kind of relate to this as well. And I found, a lot of the elements to this like kind of worked. Keenan kind of reading all the counts of arrest like one after another as I think Andrew and Heidi maybe are like about to like have sex. I found that to be like very funny and just overall enjoyable. And the one thing I wrote down in my notes that I wanted to add, and I'm not sure if people caught on. I know people in the comments said that Molly was playing a real character, but around the time she's talking, they use the word like delicious. And I thought like, oh, wouldn't this have been like a fun way to kind of put her maybe delicious dish character in? It'd be kind of weird, but if we're already having her play like some sort of person commenting and having the ASMR element, delicious dish is already kind of that in a sense. But yeah, that was just a little tidbit I wanted to share. But overall, yeah, I see that maybe we could have done a little more with this premise, but what we got I found to be enjoyable, short and sweet.
Yeah, you nailed it. All right, well, that is our night here talking about Molly Shannon and Jonas Brothers. So while we think of our ratings out of 10, and chat, you put yours in the chat as well, we'll bring those up. I'll tell you a little bit about the cut sketches from the night. So nothing cut for time tonight. Everything that was intended to be in the live show made the live show. But there were 3 sketches that were cut at dress. One called Book Club, where Molly hosted a book club with Sarah, who dropped a crumb. And then we end up seeing different cast members playing pesky ants. And it's the focus on the ants at the book club. We get a sketch called Office Break Room. While trying to observe a moment of silence for a deceased coworker, Mikey, Keenan, Andrew, and Heidi are interrupted by Molly and Ego making loud noises during in the office break room. And then finally a sketch called Dirty 30, where Heidi's 30th birthday party is happening, and Molly gets some customized Mad Libs to have some prompts with Heidi, and every time that they answer a prompt, Heidi gets offended and attempts to leave, and it's all about trying to make Heidi more comfortable. So anyways, this sketch had a lot of repetition apparently as well. So thanks to Ellis for his report from dress rehearsal. All right.
Book club sounds kind of interesting though. I gotta say that.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we'll see that come back in the future. All right, let's get everybody's final thoughts on the night. So Sammy, where are you going to rate this episode?
There's I think a lot to like in this episode. I enjoyed the Donald Trump cold open, the play sketch, and I think Molly elevated a lot of stuff, but I think overall kind of disappointing, especially after such a large kind of gap in, since her last hosting appearance. And I feel like Molly is just like a person in pop culture is like kind of as big as she's ever been and is popping up in everything. So I kind of am leaning towards like a 6 out of 10 for this episode, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay. Victoria, how are you feeling about tonight?
I would just give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Molly is such a wonderful person. I wish her well. I will be buying her book and reading it, of course. No, I think a lot of things worked for me. Some things did not, but given that, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Fun episode.
All right, Andrew, take us home.
All right. Well, I mean, on my own rating scale, this is a 2.5 out of 5, which on a 10 means it's a 5 out of 10, but that sounds harsher than I want it to be. I just felt this was a very midline SNL episode. Not too many things that I will remember, to be honest, but I think it only bottomed out once with the fart sketch. And the rest kind of passed along breezily enough that I was never mad, but then also I was kind of mad because I was like, I wanted a better episode for Molly Shannon, to be honest. So, yeah. And Molly was charming as always. I love Molly Shannon. So great. Oh, please come back whenever. So yeah, a little bit bittersweet, gotta be honest.
Yeah, I think personally, I wouldn't go that low in this episode. I think it would be doing an injustice to some of the really good stuff we saw from the episode. I think for me, I'm probably going to go somewhere I would say without Molly, who if this was a different host that wasn't Molly, I'd probably go same sketches. I'd probably go about 6.5. But with the fact that it is Molly Shannon, and I really felt like she brought a lot to the night, I'm probably going closer to a 7 for this one. I think just the fun of having her there. This to me is like in the history of the show. This is probably like a 7 episode for me overall. So that's where I'll land on this one. Okay. We are so excited, though, to dive back into this episode on Monday on the roundtable. We have a really great panel for Monday night, so I hope you'll
gonna be there. I'm back.
Nope. But we will be with some other great folks on Monday to talk about everything. Molly Shannon will go into her history as a cast member, as a host, all the time she's appeared on the show, and what it really means to have her return to the show. We'll talk about the sketches and how this episode will be remembered in the long run. So that will be Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesday, Mike Murray will be back with the By the Number show, where we'll go through all the statistics from this episode, and he has a couple of great guests planned for him. Quick programming note, I will be in New York City next week, so I will not be here for a patron feedback show, so we will not have that show this week. Hoping to get somewhat of a bonus show in to replace that time slot, but I'll let you guys know if something does pop up there. But in the meantime, hope you enjoy our content that we have, and then, of course, we will be live for the Hot Take Show immediately after next week's Anna de Armas and Carol G episode of Saturday Night Live. Sammy, thanks for joining us tonight. Where can the listeners check out everything you got going
on? Thanks as always for having me, John. You guys can find me at that Sammy Kay on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And please check out our superfan takeovers. We recently did a commercial parodies bracket. So that was a lot of fun. And I hope you guys are happy with where we ended up with the final 4 and the winner. So just let us know on social media and all that. But yeah, thanks for having me.
For sure. Very fun episode. I got to join the superfans on that one, so I hope you go back and check that one out when you can. Victoria, thank you so much for just opening up everything. We learned so much about you tonight.
So much gas.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Really, a lot of gas in the tank, Victoria.
In this economy, it works. No, I'm just glad that it's on the internet where it lives forever. No, you can find me at Victoria F with the first I as a dot. I am moving to Chicago, so even though I won't be at Go Comedy Improv Theater in Ferndale anymore, you should still go if you're in the area. It's a great comedy theater, lots of fun stuff going on there. But after May 1st, you can find me in Chicago, somewhere in the Second City or other places, performing and trying to make you laugh as much as SNL does. And I will try not to talk about gas, but yeah, I'm really excited. But
I want more gas material.
More gas. And I'll just leave off with saying it's a trifecta this weekend. So happy Easter to those who celebrate, happy Passover to those who celebrate, and Ramadan Mubarak to those who celebrate as well. Hope everyone's happy and healthy. So
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Andrew, thank you for joining us as well. I hope you had a fun time. I know that I had fun having you on. So please tell the listeners where they can check out everything that's going on with you.
Well, of course, I'm over at That Week in SNL, talking vintage episodes. You like my salty takes on modern day SNL? I got the same about old episodes, too. It's hilarious with me and my pals, and we all, just old episodes and tidbits about sketches and all that stuff. And happy holidays, everybody. And I don't know. I don't know if the writer's strike is going to happen, so I don't know if this is going to be my last time on the SNL network this year. So gotta say, if it is, I've had a blast. It's been quite a year to be, enjoyed. It's been great to mostly be on and talk about great episodes, but those were earlier in the year. You go dig into the archives. Trust me, I have been positive about a number of episodes this season, folks.
Yeah. Well, he has, and no doomsday talk. We're no writer strike talk yet because it's not happening. But yes, and for sure, and definitely check out Andrew's podcast. There will be an appearance.
Yes,
of myself.
I didn't even promote it. Yes, stay tuned. Another episode with John coming up, talking about. I'll reveal it now. Sofia Vergara and One Direction. That's right. It's the first episode for Kate McKinnon. So that comes up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it is. But stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, you can find everything we have going on here at the Saturday Night Network on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast as well. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. Always appreciate those subscriptions. It helps people find the show. If you want to talk to me at Jon Schneider 24. And I would like to thank everybody for staying up late with us. So much fun to do this each and every week. On behalf of Sammy Kay, Victoria Franso, and Andrew Dick, my name is Jon Schneider from the Saturday Night Network. We will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.